Dear Jasper, happy 18th, fam. I just wanted to write you a quick letter just to say thank you for everything you've taught me. I'll start with a moment you probably want to leave in childhood. The hairy, sweaty, pungent Euro finals we watched in Trafalgar Square. I never told you, but at the game I had revelation on a near Archimedean scale. The experience of that game was the closest thing to mass revelation since the Jews experienced it atop Mount Sinai. And that, as I watched grown men dash cans of dark fruits at riot police, I finally understood the French philosopher Georges Bataille. Every game of the Euros, we'd roll up to Vinegar Yard with a couple of cans and cause a tiny bit of madness. Because of the fighting with security guards, the jumping on cars and people kicking the wall of the pub for some reason, the next time we went to the game, the screen was blocked off. It was half an hour before the final started and every pub we checked in was completely booked up, so we stopped in the corner shop to check our options. Gammon, bald, pug-faced, not racist, just don't like 'em, simple as men. Kids of every creed in puffer jackets and even a man in a Kia were buying beers and heading to one destination. They told us that all we needed was £10 for entry and jeans baggy enough to hide our beers in, and we'd be able to watch the game on a giant screen in Trafalgar Square. With that, we picked up our Stellas, our Heinekens, our Peronis, our Fosters, our VBs, and our Polish beers, which my keyboard doesn't even have the letters to pronounce, and set off to the centre of town. Noting that the crowd all seemed to be walking in the same direction after we left, with beers also in their hands, the crowd once we got to the square was, as you can imagine, unimaginable. Jasper, well, your glasses and ability to play the bassoon somewhat cajole me into thinking your grasp on the offside rule is shaky at best. I assume you understand what football literally is. 22 men are split into two teams of 11, with the object of the game being to kick the game's spherical namesake into the opponent's goal. At the end of 90 minutes, whoever has the most points wins. These are codified in the faux esoterically named laws of the game. I don't have time to go into it now, but there's always a 19th birthday email. For most, the Euros fall between the FA and World Cups in terms of importance, but given to England's less than stellar performance in international football, we all came together to support our boys in grey. Historically, football has been seen as a communist sport, but in between the destruction of their natural bodies and dissolution of institutions that once embraced them, English football fans were violent. While sports-related violence is nothing new, the greyish hellfire of this industrial England got fans moving like no other. This game was no exception. Bottles flying over unnecessarily violent police to hit giant walls felt like we missed Trafalgar Square and ended up in the Gaza Strip. Both police and fans were pelted, with unfortunate attendees having to use England flags to dress their wounds after being hit by a stray cherry bee. But the violence at this final had a specific flavour to it. There felt a pervasive atmosphere of being at the centre of something. I mean, fam, people were attacking the police to celebrate us winning. Shrouded in an almost Landian heat and wetness from what I hoped to God was a beer-scented crowd, it almost felt homely with the presence of my friends. But don't get me wrong, the experience of the game was mad. There was a tree in between us and the screen, which meant that I could barely see the game, but due to the presence of thousands of others, I could feel it. Hypothetically, if Kanye posted a silent album on Twitter with the caption to "Imagine the music," the first reply would be me asking when the vinyl version was coming. So this amazingness through blindness is not ontologically unique to the game. But why, in the presence of thousands of men losing control of their fine motor skills, did the presence of you make things so homely yet so exciting? On the bus to work the day after the game, I saw a tweet from a journalist that said something like, "Oh, my son enjoyed the game, but he can't support the team because of the fans." This attitude, which I think is becoming more and more prevalent, is the antithesis of our friendship. Now, I don't mean to say the thesis of our friendship is indiscriminately attacking Italian fans and online racial abuse. Rather, I want to channel the thoughts of a philosopher you told me about, Georges Bataille. At first you told me he was a European librarian who translated medieval poetry, and I did not give a shit. But then you told me he was the leader of a death sex cult, and I was like, mad. He hated the idea that we follow pleasure and run from pain, which, if you think about it, is the moral underpinning of current society. When we ask if something's right or wrong, we just wonder, is it not hurting anyone and someone having a good time? But I thought that didn't really make sense. He compared experiences of sex, exorcism, and even torture, and found out that once you reach the limit of experience, all comprehension melts into feeling. I hope you'll agree we witnessed that at the game. On the sort of fat men with the England top and blue jeans combo, I saw mirrored expressions of when I googled boobies in year 7. The expression was surreal on a fat pug face with no hairline. The indescribable feeling of being at combat with authority, surrounded by thousands of comrades, watching England get to the final can't even be described. It can only really be compared to things that are similar. That's why I want to thank you for being my friend, Jasper, for helping me reach those experiences. When police said we're not allowed in the apartheid-esque citadel to watch the game, we climb up on a church and make the closest thing that place has had to a religious experience in decades. I couldn't see the game, but I could feel it. That's just crazy to me. When society tries to transmute us into no-fapping, cold showering, 5 a.m. waker-uppers and masochistically self-optimizing pits of despair, we go a 10-minute walk from the people making those laws and we sing. Happy birthday, Jasper. I hope you have a good one. Here's to reaching the limit more next year.